Welcome to the video tutorial on how to use the Deploy Via Web basic method. If you haven't yet watched the tutorial on the Deploy Via Web simple, you'll want to go ahead and do that now first, as we'll just build on the concepts that we talked about in that tutorial. So go ahead and take a look at the Deploy Via Web simple tutorial and then come back to the basic tutorial. We're going to build upon some of those concepts. So the first thing we're going to do is select the remote menu and the Deploy Via Web. And in this example we're going to use the basic option, which means that I have an understanding of a little bit of how HTML works, and I have an email address, and I also have my own website where I can upload my pages to. So then we'll just continue on through here, and we'll fill this out basically just as we did on the simple method. We'll use an entry deadline of March 18th, 10 o'clock a.m. And we'll use the redirect hyperlink to go back to turbotourney.com. Fill out the comments, and we use the point click. And now we get to some of the differences between the simple method and the basic method. We have a similar screen as we did on the simple, where we confirm our settings, basically just showing us exactly what we've selected up until this point. On the simple method, here's where we had to put in our password, and we posted the page to the turbotourney.com website. But on the basic method, the page is going to be created on your computer, and then you post that page to your website yourself. Basically the difference is that you're hosting the entry page using the basic versus having the turbotourney.com website host it using the simple method. So we confirm our settings here and we select next, and now we're told it's time to generate the components. We're going to create a file called tournamententry.html on our computer, and it's telling us to make sure that we place that file on our web server, and we'll give our players the URL of where we put that page. And then to collect the entries, and we'll cover that in a later tutorial, it's telling us to go to the load web pics from turbotourney.com feature to import them into your pool, and like I said, we'll cover that in another tutorial. So the only option we have to provide here on this screen is to tell it where to place the tournament entry file on our computer that we'll later then upload to our website. And so here the default will be into the Turbo Tourney folder, and if we'd like we can change this to another folder on our computer. We'll go ahead and put it in the My Documents folder, and then we can select to save our settings, and then again same option as with the simple. If you want to include this entry page in your website files into your report package, you'll want to select this option, and we'll go ahead and say finish. And now we're being told that we don't have any pairings yet, so try to imagine this is before the tournament. We're just trying this out, and it's going to create an entry sheet basically just saying that the pairings are not ready yet. So it created the file. Let me resize this so you can see it. And as you can see here, it created the tournament entry HTML file, and if I load it up here on my desktop, and remember it's still just running locally on the computer, here's the entry sheet that I just created from the Deploy Via Web, and again it's saying that the pairings are not yet ready. So that created the file on our computer. Now let's go through and simulate what it would look like if we actually had some entries. So we'll go back to 2003 and we'll download the pairings from last year. And once we're ready, we'll just go back through the Deploy Via Web one more time using the same options, and we'll create the entry page again. And now this time if I load it, as you can see I have the teams, and I can select my entries and go through and fill out my picks. Now remember, this is just running on my local computer. As you can see by the URL right now, it's just running on my computer, so nobody could actually access this on the internet. So the next step that we need to do is need to put this entry file onto our website. And you can either do this a couple of different ways. If you have your own FTP client, you can go ahead and use that to connect to your web server and then just FTP upload the files to your website. Just remember, you'll need to know that you need to upload not only the tournament entry file, but also the image files that if you use the enhanced web deployment method or the enhanced website option, you'll want to also include those images. So you'll just need to upload all these files to your web server and then give out the URL to your players. The second way you can do this is if you use the built-in FTP Manager within Tourney. You can also go ahead and upload your files automatically that way using the software. So we'll go ahead and run a quick setup on how you go through and do that as well. Okay, so the next step would be to go to the FTP Manager, which is under the Tools menu, and then FTP Manager. And we have some options here on set it up, on how to set this up. We're going to go ahead and use the always prompt FTP so that every time we create any report files, it will be asked if we want to upload this to our website. Our host name, this is where you put the name of your FTP server, and if you have any questions on these fields, you should be able to get this information from your ISP. They should be able to tell you what the host name and your username and password are. So you should be able to fill this out pretty easily with the information from them. So in our case, we're going to say that our host name is www.tourney.com and our username is FTP tutorial and our password. And then the report directory is used for when you upload reports or website files to your server, where you want them to go on the server. If you leave it blank, by default it will put them just in the root folder of wherever your home directory is when you log in with your FTP login. So a lot of times if you're running more than one pool, you would want to create different folders on your website to handle these different pools so that you can separate them out. So let's say that I had off of my home directory a folder that I created that was called 2004 pool. I would want to put that in this field right here, and then it will use that to know when it uploads the files to put them in that folder. And the same goes with the script directory and the data directory, although those two fields are only used for the advanced method of web deployment, so we don't need to worry about those fields in this tutorial. And then you specify the port that you want to connect with for your FTP, and typically 21 is the standard. And then launch after uploading means after you upload your files to your site, to go ahead and launch the browser and go right to my website. In which case I'm going to call this, I'm going to go to www.tourney.com, and then 2004 pool is where I have my website. And then I'm going to upload the images only the first time, and then I'm going to apply the FTP to my web report files, my website files, and my deploy via web. So this is the key when you're talking about deploy via web basic, that if you select this option, when you go through the deploy via web and it creates a tournament entry file, because I have it prompted, it's going to ask me, do you want to upload it to your site? And I can say yes or no. If I select to always use it, as soon as I create the deploy via web entry page, it's going to automatically FTP it to my site without asking. So we're going to go ahead and leave this as always prompt so you can see the message come up. And then the transfer mode is your preference. I would just go ahead and leave it what it is. It just determines how the files are uploaded. So we'll go ahead and save that information. Before we go there, I should also mention too that on this report directory, you want to make sure you have your / at the end of that so that it knows to put the files into that folder. Okay, so now that I have my FTP Manager configured, I can go back to the remote deploy via web. And again, it's retained all my settings as before. And I come to the last screen and I'm going to generate the entry page. And now, because I have turned on the FTP Manager and I've said to prompt me when we try to do a deploy via web, it's asking me now, do I want to FTP upload this entry page to my website? And I'm going to say yes. And so it's going to go ahead and upload the entry page along with the graphics that go with it, except that I have been playing with this tutorial file, so the images are not there. So we'll go ahead and we're going to change our FTP Manager settings so that we can upload the images all the time. So this is a good example of how you might need to work with this to get everything to work correctly. So let's go ahead and change our upload images to upload every time. Now we don't have to worry about when we do this. So now we'll go back through the deploy via web, create our entry page, and we'll re-upload it. Now this time we should also see the images be uploaded, and there they go. And when it's done, because we have the launch option selected, it's going to go ahead and it's going to load up the entry page after it gets to our website. As you can see, it's on the website now in the 2004 pool folder, and here's our entry page. And that's all you need to do to use the deploy via web basic method.